job. Here's the Luke, still take it, say one more day on the job. They about to go and rub you dry.
All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. There are huge events going on right now, and our last show that we just did, I made some mistakes, so we'll talk about that here in a second, but we have so much to go over in a short amount of time. Those mistakes were giving people a false sense of security because it is actually far worse than I thought. We'll talk about that. But of course, with our leadership in shambles, our nation doesn't need another vulnerability, but that's exactly what just happened. One of our largest IT service providers for the U.S. government has been hacked, with, of course, documents leaked. Our Department of Defense, DHS, and NASA may have all been compromised. Well, Delta is still in meltdown over CrowdStrike. Our adversaries are all talking about nuclear war, and MrBeast has run into trouble with one of his closest associates as social media has turned up the heat. This is much more, that we are going to talk about, including Yellowstone absolutely going haywire and blowing up a boardwalk. So we'll talk about all of this tonight. Hackers leak documents from Pentagon IT services provider Leidos. Hackers have leaked internal documents stolen from Leidos Holdings, one of the largest IT services providers to the U.S. government, included, according to a person familiar with the matter. Leidos recently learned of the issue and believes that the documents were stolen in a previously disclosed breach of Diligent Corp system it used, said the person who was asked not to be identified because the information isn't public. It says Leidos is investigating the issue, the person said. Leidos customers include the Defense Department, the Department of Homeland Security, and NASA, among other U.S. and foreign agencies and commercial businesses. Leidos used the Diligent system to host information gathered in internal investigations, according to June 2023 filing in Massachusetts. So think about what could be in that. Internal investigations, basically investigating themselves, and that gets hacked and the information goes out. That could be a massive, massive deal. Not to mention this entire CrowdStrike thing. We have talked about the options. In fact, yesterday we were talking about this, and I just have a feeling that it is going to slowly come out that ended up leaving doors open for other things. Now, all of these places are vulnerable while they end up trying to fix the CrowdStrike. To CrowdStrike, basically, they have to boot up every single one of 8 million computers. They have to boot it up in safe mode, get rid of CrowdStrike, put the patch in, and then try to start. During that time period, they are vulnerable. And now already we are hearing about some other issues and stuff going on with the Department of Defense. You've got the Department of Homeland Security and all of this. Meanwhile, while all of this is happening, just some housekeeping. This Massey incident that happened, people are already obviously jumping on a wagon or one or the other, and people are basically saying that this needs to be the Summer of Love 2.0 because of what happened. Now, there were tons of different little things that were put out that essentially said within 2 weeks that the guy had already somehow that was guilty. That was total misunderstanding. That was people thinking that it happened last year, and that this new development was that he was actually charged and guilty. He is not. He is charged with murder, but that is not what anybody, as far as that's not a closed case. And the president has already weighed in on the X. Before the president even came out and said anything, he ended up putting out a tweet about it saying that this woman should be alive, basically saying that this was horrible and that the police did this and whatever else. So that comment alone is a giant deal. Imagine if anybody gets into a crime, if your brother-in-law somehow gets involved in something, whether he's guilty or innocent, and then having the president of the United States make a judgment call on it before all of the information is out to the public. I believe that tweet went out, or that X post or whatever went out before the second angle of the other body camera came out. Now, people are arguing, people are already posting that some are saying that she never even threw the pot of water. The pot of water definitely didn't come off. We don't know if that's because she fell and the water came down and fell over the floor. But as far as it definitely came off the stove, either way, is that justification for what he did? Could he have aimed lower? She was unarmed with a hot pot of water. Now, you could see how this could be really, really bad. If you've seen the video, then you know exactly why. Now, there's already calls. It's already becoming this rolling stone, and this is on top of all of these other events. If you are one of many of us who believe there are big events coming, and who knows, maybe even some of them are guided, that this stuff could be almost purposeful, then buckle up, because it is going to get absolutely nuts. Now, Dex, as far as this hack goes, what else could this end up doing? As far as, let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So the hack, what else could this end up? How did this happen? And then of course, how related or unrelated is this, and what could happen from this in relation to everything else that's been going on?
Well, what worries me is the fact that this is so close to obviously the government, the Pentagon, the DOD, DHS, all being involved potentially. We don't know to the extent of what type of information has been taken from them. They, claim it was from last year, but it doesn't matter. It could be top secret. It could be very important stuff. It could be a lot of information of nothing. It could just be a bunch of information about people. But at the end of the day, if this is something serious and significant for any of our adversaries, that's what troubles me. And at this point in time, we are just not sitting in a position of strength, whether it be economics, and the power of the dollar, or just looking at our administration and what a mess we have going on right now, and with everything going on there, our adversaries are looking to take advantage, and this may be giving someone a serious advantage of a lot of information from inside our DOD and other government agencies.
Think about if this was a peer-to-peer adversary and they get their hands on basically the most blackmailable kind of dirt you could get on actual government officials, on anybody that's ever had any kind of scandal, internal investigations. So this is something that I don't think we've heard the last of, and we're going to follow it all the way through. As far as the CrowdStrike event, it's still going on. There's still videos. Delta Airlines has basically passengers stranded still after days and days. People are still in the airports, sleeping in them, because it's still all screwed up. And this isn't even the big event. Most people are quoting kind of the warning from the W and the E and the F. This isn't even the big event. This is the tip of the iceberg. So again, very, very, very ridiculous amount of events going on right now. And then Russia conducts second mobile nuclear missile launcher drill in a month. We covered the first one, and a lot of people were alarmed by how they are drilling and what they're drilling for. And if you kind of reverse engineer what they're training for, it's kind of alarming. As far as Russian forces are conducting drills involving Yars mobile nuclear missile launchers, Russian media reported on Tuesday, in what would be the second such exercise in less than a month. Missile launcher crews in the Volga River Basin, some 700 kilometers or 435 miles east of Moscow, were set to move 62 miles and practice camouflage and deployment, the Interfax news agency reported. The drills follow similar exercises in early July, and this was in this same month, in at least two different regions, and are taking place less than 2 months after Russia held tactical nuclear weapons deployment exercises alongside ally Belarus. Belarus, which also just did massive drills with China directly. So these drills is where they take these Yars missile launchers and they actually bring them out. They camouflage them, so they put leaf cover and tree cover and these camouflage tarps over them and essentially make them invisible to satellites. It's a very scary thing to see because these are nuclear missile launchers that they essentially set up. They can drive off a dirt road and then camouflage so they cannot be seen. Now, I wonder how hidden they truly are with satellites watching 24/7. They could probably see the path, and then all of a sudden something disappears in that spot. But now they have new systems that might even be able to jam anything above or basically do a fog of war. So who knows if they actually will know? And what will these be used for if they ever do end up getting used in this fashion? Would they go right up to the border or right up to the front line, put in nuclear missile launchers and then camouflage them and then do a surprise attack? It's getting hot. So we'll follow it and we will keep you updated on all of this. And then, of course, Kim's North Korea warns of nuclear world war. Dex, do you want to go over the statements coming out today?
Yeah, the official newspaper of the Workers' Party of Korea and the Radong Sinmon, I'm sure I'm butchering that, released a article marking the upcoming anniversary of the armistice that ended the Korean War. And the article credited Kim Jong-il Sung's grandfather, the grandfather of the current leader, with the victory. However, before the ink of the armistice agreement dried, the U.S. North Korea began holding regular games with an eye towards the North, which have continued to this day, the paper wrote. The exercises have become increasingly blatant and cruel year by year, now boldly crossing the red line of a new nuclear war. So as they went on to acknowledge their historical day, they drove home the message that the West is driving their country and crossing the lines to create a new nuclear war with them. So that's a big message going out to their public. It's not just something they're putting out to the world. You got to remember a lot of the stuff that they produce, it's all state-run. Everything's state-run. It's all controlled by Kim. It's going to their people, and it's part of what they're pushing the narrative for their country. So this obviously is also, when viewed from outside the country, it looks as, hey, this is kind of a big deal. They're talking, again, more seriously about getting closer to the brink of nuclear war. And I think that's always a concern when you're dealing with Kim, because of the way he runs things and the fact that he does actually have a nuclear arsenal, unlike, say, Iran, which we all just question how many more weeks until they have one. Because every day there's a new article that says there's just a couple more weeks to go.
How many more pounds, how many more ounces of this do they need to make a nuke? North Korea already has them. Not only that, they have actually done extensive testing. Back in the day, even they did extensive testing where people thought they were failures when they were actually practicing back then with the low-yield nukes for a super EMP weapon. As far as what was going on here, too, they've talked about surprise attacks from North Korea. Now, I could see this being the event that kicks all of this off, and if you are one to believe that maybe that the puppet masters all above all of us all have some sort of greater, bigger plan, and almost everybody may be involved, then you definitely want to keep even double eyes peeled, because right now, they've done all of these back and forths. They've put the framework up for some sort of surprise attack from North Korea to happen. And now they're talking about this. Of course, they also talk about the paranoia of Kim Jong-un. If Kim Jong-un is paranoid enough and thinks he's going to be attacked, he even has said that he would attack first if he really thinks anybody is at threat. He's even said it's automatic if any of them get taken out, any of his top officials get taken out, and it's suspicious that it will automatically fire nukes towards the U.S. They've even said, not towards anybody else. They'll just immediately start firing them at the U.S. and possibly South Korea. So absolutely insane people in North Korea. So we'll see what happens, and we'll follow it. Make sure to subscribe. Now, thank you, Tudika, Tuck Pup. Thank you. I appreciate your support this week. Of course, Stephen Click, Paul Chidium, Kat. Thank you, Callie, Truck This Garage, and so many more. And make sure to thank your mods. Again, holding it down in the chat. Thank you guys for, of course, being awesome. You can go find all of them at marfooglenews.com/friends. Now, before we move on, make sure to go check out My Patriot Supply. If you don't have a supply of food yet, this is our recommendation because you can actually get really affordable freeze-dried food that is going to be able to store for 25 years. Very little worry about rotating in and out when you have over 2 decades. Not to mention it takes up very little space because of the actual way that they freeze-dry. It takes everything out of it. It shrinks it down to a very compact size. And then you just add water or cook in water or cook in sauce, and you bring it back to life. It keeps a lot more of the flavor, almost all of the flavor, compared to dehydration. Again, dehydration is also a good thing to do if you have the time, but this is a much, much more efficient way to preserve food. It lasts longer, and it keeps more of the nutrients and flavor in. So if you want to go check it out, of course, the more you end up getting, the better deal. Just like Costco, if you're buying 10 boxes of cereal, you'll get a better deal than if you buy one. With this, you get the best deals on either the 1 month or the 3 month. That, again, will get you enough food for one person for 3 months, or you can break that apart. That's enough for 1 month for 3 people, a month and a half for 2 people, or again, 3 months for one person. Go to marfooglenews.com/prep, especially right now. I'm sure that a lot of people are looking into this. You're probably going to see the price of freeze-dried food has skyrocketed. This is one of our recommendations for the most affordable and, again, the most bang for your buck, which I'm sure most people want at this point right now. Especially with regular groceries going nuts, you can only imagine preserved food like this that takes a whole process to make. The price is going up. So, again, you get it today. You won't have to buy it for 25 years. All right, and that's marfooglenews.com/prep. You don't need a code. You just use that link, and it will automatically apply any sale that is there. You can get upwards of $200 off on the 3 month, and it depends on the timing, so make sure to go check for the current sale. And then China makes nuclear weapons demands to U.S. and allies. So again, another one. China has demanded that the United States make commitments on nuclear weapons by adopting a no first use policy and giving up its nuclear umbrella to allies in Europe and Asia after Beijing suspended arms control talks with Washington over Taiwan last week. So it's bad enough that there's treaties and different things that are going south with Russia, and we've already ended a lot of the arms treaties with them, like the New START. Now you've got, of course, China with their smaller nuclear arsenal, but not one to laugh at. They are talking about how they want us to stop with the nuclear umbrella. The Chinese Foreign Ministry on Monday published 2 working papers in relation to, quote, the no first use of nuclear weapons policy and nuclear security assurances. They were first submitted on July 12th to the Preparatory Committee for the 2026 Review Conference of the Parties to a Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons. Now, Dex, here's my question. The timing on this? You have people like Mike Turner saying that we will be at war with China by 2027, which is very close. It's getting closer every day. And then, of course, you have some saying 2026 will be it. Would they wait for something like this, where if we do get in a conventional war, have some sort of nuclear agreement? Or are these agreements only for non-wartime, for more like, if we take over Taiwan, we want to make sure you're not going to bomb us? Maybe they're just sad Mark Milley's not in office anymore, so he can't give them a warning. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think that they're in a hurry to build an arsenal as large as Russia's, which would be larger than ours, because we do not have the largest arsenal. They're in a hurry, and anything they can do to bide their time and get them some time to do that is important. And they cranked out more nukes last year than they did the year before, and they're cranking out more nukes this year than they did last year. It's exponentially growing, and they're expanding their arsenal at breakneck pace. I think they said in a few years, at least by the end of 2030, they will be way beyond ours. I think it'll be even shorter than that at the pace that they can continue to increase. So if they maintain it, I think this is just what can they do to buy themselves some time.
And the comments out of Beijing have been very contradictory as far as the comments they've said. They say that we're the aggressor here. At the same time, they've basically made comments saying, like, we're ready for anything. that we've got America covered in multiple areas, that our intentions are not secret. They're basically trying to come up on spot number one. And then U.S. Japan to hold high-level security talks on nuclear deterrence. Why all the talk about this? Well, obviously for the last year and a half, it has been non-stop stories about nuclear everything. It's nuclear missiles, nuclear armaments, FOBs, fractional orbital bombardment systems. It's been constant talk about nuclear. But at the same time, the framework for an actual world war is being built. The treaties are being signed, adversaries and allies alike. Now you have U.S. and Japan to hold these high-level talks on nuclear deterrence. Now, Japan has actually beefed up their forces. Their self-defense force is less of a self-defense force and now more of a force. They have beefed up their budgets. They have now asked for several things. Now they are going to be beefing up their offensive as well as their defensive. Foreign and defense ministers from Japan and the United States will hold security talks on July 28th that for the first time will cover, quote, extended deterrence, a term used to describe U.S. commitment to use nuclear forces to deter attacks on allies, which is crazy thinking this is Japan, the only country that we ever used 2 nukes on, is now essentially in these talks. Well, the pair have discussed the issue at lower levels before. The talks will elevate a subject that is sensitive in Japan for obvious reasons, which has pushed the non-proliferation of nuclear weapons and is the only country to have suffered atomic bomb attacks. Washington and Tokyo in April first announced an historic upgrade to the U.S.-Japan alliance, first signed in 1951, as the Allies look to deter what they see as a rising regional threat from China, Russia, and, of course, North Korea. In the face of the growing unprecedented threats in the region, quote, the United States and Japan are going to demonstrate in a responsible way how we will stand up to ensure not just the defense of Japan, but also our contribution to regional security. Essentially saying that they are going to jump into the mix, they are going to be offensive if they have to, and they're even going to be joining defensive drills and defensive patrols. They've already had a Japanese ship go right into a no-sail zone while China was actually doing stuff in the South China Sea. And you have China naval ships basically mobbing right up into it, saying, we're here. So this is a huge change for Japan. It says, quote, our security treaty commitments to our Japanese allies are ironclad, quote, and we've committed to using all means at America's disposal, including nuclear, to make sure that we meet those commitments. That was Anthony car salesman Blinken, and will also hold a bilateral meeting with his Japanese counterpart during the visit, part of a pan-Asian trip to reassure allies of U.S. support as the November U.S. presidential casts uncertainty over Washington's foreign policy. And I can't imagine what's going to happen too now that we've changed who is possibly going to be running against T-Man, or they say she is. Kamala is now the person running. They're just like, well, we're picking a new one, and this is it. Now with this going on, I am absolutely sure in my heart that something wild is about to go down. I just call it a hunch. I'm sure most of you have this hunch, or giant truck of obviousness driving right towards your front yard. But again, I think something big is about to go down. This is why I'm telling people, if you've been watching for 5 years, 6 years, I hope right now you are putting the gas to the pedal. I've told you guys for years to go slow, to try to do stuff. You can still do that, but again, I would highly recommend, if you've procrastinated on even getting started, to get started right now. With all of the events of the last 2 months, I would think that all of you are already on it, that you don't need me to tell you this. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Stephen Click, thank you. So many great Foogle fam here. Let's do a quick roll call. Where are you from? Just a general state or province. Obviously find other Foogle family members right next to you. Sean C, 3 Horses Running, nice to see you. Seeking Truth, nice to see you again. Polka Loco over on D-Live. Lord Andrew, Truth Iris, Annie Oakley 777, M St. G, It's a hunch, I think. Yeah, that's like Notre Dame hunch. Let's see your next exit, East Tennessee. What's going on? South Carolina in the house. Nice to see you, Patriot. Michigan Lifestyle, of course, from Michigan. Jammer One, nice to see you. Thank you so much for modding. Barbie Burns Fat, North Central PA. By the way, I prayed for you the other day, and I'm continuing to pray for you for your family. And I know you guys just lost a loved one, so I'm just very glad to see you here. And I'm sure the rest of the Fool family has been doing the same. Washington State, nice to see you. Locals, Judy Bailey, Sean C., thank you. Maureen Hines, Paul Saul, what is going on? Elbow Jeans, Turner, sir, what is going on? Stay True Life. We've got Texas in the house. Lacey, Space Monkey, nice to see you. Amanda Luez, thank you, and thank you. And then Fort Wayne, Indiana. Thank you guys for all showing up today. All right. Trevor, I hope not. And if you were, no help for you. Jacob M. and so many more, thank you guys for making it. Dex, let's go over the Kremlin says Russian Arctic cooperation with China is not aimed against anyone after the Pentagon expresses concern. I'm wondering why they even responded to this.
Oh, well, yeah. And kind of an interesting one that they're doing. They're coming out and I guess acknowledging the fact that they are working with China. They said on Tuesday that the Russian cooperation with China in the Arctic was not aimed against any other country, but we know that that's not true. It's pretty much aimed against the West. Anything they do is aimed against the West because they're trying to polarize a multipolar world, as they call it, and build up opportunities or even defense systems against the West. So whether it is, they can write it off and say, well, we're doing all this Arctic work so that we can create a new channel of commerce and shipping between China and Russia. On one hand, that has the feel good on it. But on the other hand, there's an entire militaristic side of this going on, which is just as important as the U.S. said just yesterday, as we reported, that the northern Arctic area is critical for space and critical for not only monitoring and space communications, and everybody is just clamoring for the Arctic region right now. So for this expansion, of course, the Pentagon, as we reported, I think we already talked about this, they feared that Moscow and China's actions in the Arctic could impact the regional stability. So, of course, this is going to be a contentious issue between the West and the BRICS alliance, so to speak, about what are they doing in the Arctic, who's going to have control, who's going to have the power. We know that Russia has built out bases all over the ice in lots of different locations. China has started to show up, and now the U.S. is sort of falling behind.
And we've known this for years, too. We've actually covered that we had comments from U.S. officials essentially years ago stating, well, it's actually not that big of a deal. People overestimate it. Now they're saying exactly the reverse. And this is just absolutely stupid. If they end up controlling huge chunks of the Arctic, or at least this is what experts say, is that they will have a military and other advantages from being up there and being up there first and being up there in numbers compared to the U.S. And other countries. So, yeah, it's a big deal. Rip Curl, I just wanted to shout you out. Thank you so much. Go check out Rip Curl when you get a chance. Check out Jammer. Check out all of our mods. They're, of course, all available over at marfooglenews.com/friends. Someone made a comment basically saying that they felt felt like the Friends page is an ad. This is something I do and I've done for my mods for a long time. It's just to help the people that help us in chat. Like they're helping us out by volunteering their time. So I have helped for years try to push you guys there because all of these folks are really good people. I've known them on and off camera. We're going to, of course, we need to add a couple more mods here. A few names have already basically been approved by everybody. But again, these are people that really do positive in the community. So I don't get anything out of it other than paying back these people that are helping the channel. So I really appreciate when you guys actually do go subscribe, go comment on their videos, go watch their stuff. we really need to have a tight-knit community, especially now with all of the insanity that's happening. We really, really need to look out for each other. We need to look out for people like Barbie Burns Fat and Heartbroken Survivor. Again, there's lots of really great people out there that are just trying to make it by. And we have a lot of people here that have been here for years. And being in a place like that for so many years, we should be getting to know each other and, of course, be helping out each other. So I hope you guys do so. CJ Blaze, Trinity does amazing work. Ilea is the funniest person I know. Wages World, of course, has the coverage of the solar events down to a T. And, of course, Lisa Hall is the longest running mod. All right. And then Delta is still melting down. It could last all week. If you haven't seen the videos yet, there's videos all over the internet of people pissed off, and understandably so. I had to spend one night, and I think I had probably the people that have spent 3 nights at Delta Airlines probably had the same experience I had in, 18 hours in the Las Vegas airport. I ended up getting stuck in the Las Vegas airport for 18 hours with all of the bells and ringing. They had, I don't know if they still have this, it was years and years ago, decades ago now, but they had all of the gambling machines and all of them making noise 24/7 all night long. And we ended up missing our flight, and the company that did my family's vacation basically scheduled us a day before. So when we got there, they were like, your flights were yesterday. So we had to spend the night on standby, and they worked it out for us, but we had to spend the night in Las Vegas airport, and it was hell. And I'll tell you that. Las Vegas is probably the worst because of all the noise. You could not sleep. There was no way to sleep when you essentially have about 4,000 alarm clocks going off all around you. Now, as far as these folks, they are just as pissed, and it's now going on days, and they're saying it could even be a week. People are stranded, and they're pissed off, and they're asking why. Because of an update? You got to be kidding me. Everybody that's been asked, including when it went on to all of these news outlets, including, it doesn't matter which one, CBN, MSNBC, all these ones that questioned the guy from CrowdStrike, CrowdStrike's CEO basically sat there and cried because he was watching his reputation and the company's reputation go down the toilet. And to me, it feels like there's a lot of fishiness going on. Same company's been involved in all this other stuff, and I can't say for sure, and of course I wouldn't because they're scary and big, like Boeing, but I will say this. The fact that there wasn't a test, the fact that they didn't run it on a couple of businesses first, they rolled it out like production line before even testing it, or even if they did test it, they didn't do a sample size network. They rolled it out to the entire globe. That, to me, sounds super fishy, and most of you should be thinking the same thing. Now, with everything that's been going on, they're, of course, a member of a very big group that we've all been talking about for the last couple of years. It's telling me that we are getting closer to what we've been thinking about for years. So this should be a wake-up call. People that are there, of course, a couple of you had family members that are still stuck there. It sucks, and I'm sorry you guys are going through this, but just keep in mind, this isn't the big event. All the 911 systems, by the way, some of them, I heard that they are still down as of last night. So I don't know how many states are actually still down, but banks were having issues. People were having issues with ATMs. They couldn't get money out. This is a giant deal. It's the largest IT thing in history, and I don't even think that this is the main event. This could have been the thing that opens up doors or opportunities for other things. We talked about this last night. If you didn't watch last night's show, you have to. And I don't normally say that, but last night's show, we talked about the potentials there. And since we put out that show, as far as IT Foogle family members said, yeah, this is scary. It opened up doors. It also set an example. It showed what could be done because of these certain events. And frankly, I hope that people are actually taking this seriously, especially in the next few months. Dex, have you ever been stuck in an airport for any kind of long time? I mean, it is the worst experience in the world.
It is, but I've been fortunate enough to be able to go get a hotel at the airport. So, yeah, when I've had a delay and had to spend the night, I would just, that's the only time it's ever happened to me. It's super inconvenient because the rest of your life was scheduled after that, and you have to like really rearrange a whole bunch of stuff depending on what you're doing. But yeah,
Well,
but I've never actually slept there. I do know the Vegas hotel. I've been there many times, and it is very noisy. I don't know how you could possibly even think about sleeping there.
well,
It's probably
so
worth
in
it to go pay for the pass to get into the lounge or something.
in our case, though, it was that it was our mistake, or it was the vacation company. So, and then they were doing us a favor by putting us on standby. My uncle, who had work that next Monday or the day after, who was had to be at work, he ended up paying for a last minute flight, paying super abundant money. And then we were told we were going to get on in the next 4 hours potentially, so we stayed there. Then after 8 hours, then after 10 hours, and 15 hours goes by. We probably would have, but at the same time, we were on standby, and they were saying like any minute you could get on. So it really sucked for us. And it was like after 12 hours on a flight already, we were already up for that whole 12 hours. And then to sit there, it absolutely was horrendous. Anybody that's ever had to spend time there. With the hotels, though, yeah, of course, that'd be nice. And a lot of the times they're supposed to comp. So I wonder, with this whole Delta thing, I haven't seen too much about how many of these people are getting comped. Are they getting free hotels? This isn't their fault. But again, Delta's saying, well, it's not ours either. So are they going to be paying for all of these people to be staying in nice hotels, or at least a Motel 6, for gosh sakes? I guess we'll see. And then Mercury has an 11-mile thick layer of diamonds, scientists find. Dex, what?
Yeah, I'm thinking in my mind, there's somebody out there that's putting together the plan to how do we launch and get to Mercury and mine it, and all they got to do is bring back a small amount, and they've probably paid for the entire expense of building out the ship. But yeah, apparently the scientists have found an excess of carbon on the planet, which means Mercury is starkly drab and gray on the surface, but new research suggests that underneath, the tiny world harbors a glittering interior fit to be the jewel of the crown of our solar system. So basically what they're saying is underneath that carbon, they are detecting and suspecting, and I guess until we ever go there or somebody sends a ship there to find out and dig it up, that there is miles of diamonds. Now, I wonder what the De Beers company is doing, if they're in the route to sort of claim Mercury as their own, to manage the diamond prices, or if they're shaking in their boots, wondering if Elon or someone else is going to put together a plan to go there and figure out how to actually survive getting onto that planet and mining it and getting it back off.
Yeah, I could totally see this guy. He's going on first trip to Mercury to get some more real diamonds. Okay, and then we have Biscuit Basin Geyser. This is insanity. If you haven't seen this yet, so a lot of folks were nervous about this. I don't know if this is any worse. I don't know how often this actually happens, but if you see the video of it, I mean, it would be scary, especially if you were on the boardwalk. If you've ever been to the Yellowstone geysers, then you've probably been to some of these boardwalks, and they have of course, these geysers that shoot up. Well, this is, of course, video of an event that happened, and I'm wondering, I don't think there's music on this one, but I'll just show you this up in the corner here. It was a massive geyser burst, and it actually destroyed parts of the actual boardwalk. So this was something, the video you can go investigate for yourself, but just to show you a couple of screenshots of this is how close the people were, and they were right on the boardwalk, and the part right there is essentially destroyed. To show you a couple, this is more of the aftermath. Look at all the missing ground. So imagine if you were somebody being a little risky and getting a little close, or going off the boardwalk, or trying to get a good picture, and then that thing just goes up out of nowhere. I mean, look at the rocks. You can see the actual rocks flying up, the pieces of ground. So, of course, people are now concerned. They're concerned about Yellowstone. Over the last couple years, we've covered all of the smaller events that have actually happened. As far as there's been, gosh, what a shot is that? Look at that. There's been concern about the quake swarms that have been happening at Yellowstone. And we've covered different weird stories that have come out, like NASA and what was it, Dex? Was it NASA and FEMA that came up with a plan on how to cool Yellowstone? And basically what they would do is not only would they pump cold water down into Yellowstone to try to prevent the big one from happening, but they would also, they said, while we're at it, we could actually generate power from it. So take that cold water, it heats up, and then as it comes back out, it would be superheated water that they could then turn into a power generator. Basically messing with Earth to get some power out of it. A lot of people were nervous about that.
Maybe they just tested that.
Well, yeah. What if? Yeah.
I mean, this is these people are running from hot, scalding, boiling water. I mean, those geysers are really cool. I've been there. I've been there in the winter time, which is really neat because everything's snow covered except right around the geyser. I don't remember that particular one, but I know I saw, like, you know, the famous Old Faithful or whatever that everybody goes to when you go to that park. But that experience that they're going through is scary, and it should be. I would think it's some sort of sign. I mean, it's not like that happens all the time. I know they spew up all the time, they erupt, but they don't erupt like that. That was just massive.
This was a piece, and it was all over. It was Business Insider and many more. NASA has a $3.46 billion plan to cool Yellowstone and harvest it for energy. Underneath it says the supervolcano threat is substantially greater than the asteroid threat. Now, today people were actually posting simulations of if it actually went down. There's some really interesting, just look up Yellowstone over on X. You'll see a lot of really crazy videos. The simulation, though, shows a car that's driving away from it blowing up. It totally reminds me of the How It Ends, that movie. And I think that How It Ends, that's what they're depicting. They're depicting Yellowstone going off after everything else. There's a massive Cascadia subduction zone earthquake. The power goes off. Something in the sky happens. That movie is just a trip in itself. But go watch that film. I think that did the most realistic vision of what, like, Yellowstone might look like. And also because they've actually used real data or data that they would say would happen in the simulations, and that is a lot like what it looked like. It looks like a replica of what they did in How It Ends, the Netflix movie. If you haven't seen it, it's definitely a good end of the world movie in itself. And before we move on, make sure to go check out Jace. If you haven't already, this is a great resource for getting yourself antibiotics. Again, this is, you go to an actual telehealth appointment. You can do it from your couch. You can talk to a board-certified doctor. You can get yourself a kit called a Jace case. The Jace case has a full kind of array of different antibiotics, the most important ones that say, again, if SHTF happens, a tiny cut could turn into a disaster. If you have antibiotics, it could make a life-changing difference. So again, that you can get the Jace case, which is affordable for, again, what it is on-demand antibiotics. Just go over and learn more. But there's also called Jace Daily. And if you're a caregiver, this is really important. You can actually get up to a 12-month extended supply of your prescription meds. Now, it varies it depends on which medications you actually take or the person you're caregiving for takes. But it is a very useful thing, especially if you take a daily medication. That way you will know the lights turn off tomorrow, there's a disaster, there's a big storm or another Katrina, another hurricane, whatever it may be, you know that you will have a year of medications. Because if it really does go down in the way that they think it will, then we're not going to have pharmacies, we're not going to have the internet, and we're not going to have hospitals. So this is a very good idea to go check out at the very least. Go to marfooglenews.com/Jase, Jase, and make sure to use the code MARF. You'll get a savings, and you'll help our independent channel. We're completely on our own, so we really do appreciate, mostly though, you sharing us out and getting us to new people. Get us in front of new people is the best thing you can do for us. And then YouTuber MrBeast's co-host Ava Chris Tyson, which again was his best guy friend and now is his best friend who is a girl now, accused of sending inappropriate messages to a 13-year-old as streaming world is engulfed in another scandal. Now, I posted just a couple things. Usually this stuff doesn't get my attention. I have had some pretty interesting conversations. Jacob actually follows all of the MrBeast stuff. I follow the MrBeast stuff. He is the largest YouTuber, and if you're on YouTube, you probably know who he is. But as far as MrBeast goes, he has had this kind of aura around him that he's this really great guy. He does all of these charities and basically gives all of his money away. To me, it kind of reminds me of how Sam Altman. Wait, I'm saying the wrong person. Who's the guy who did the huge scandal? Sam Altman's AI. Who was the guy who did the Bitcoin kind of scam thing? Who was that? That wasn't Sam Altman, was it, Dex?
No, you're thinking of Bankman-Fried?
Yes, Sam Bankman-Fried. Sam Bankman-Fried in all of his videos saying, this is my car, and pointing to like a 98 Toyota Corolla. He also gave away money, millions and millions of dollars, huge political donator, all this stuff. And then it goes back to even when I was a kid. I remember seeing a live video of Mr. Gates here in our city interviewing and talking about how they were questioning him on how he doesn't drive, or he doesn't have a limo driver. They all used to talk about how he drives just a piece of crap car to and from work, even though he has, back then it was in the millions. It was like he was the 50 millionaire or something. I think it was maybe it was after billions, but it was so small compared to today, right? But how they have this thing like of all of these people that give away to charity, that they are just so good, and that they are they're down to earth and they don't care about money. Usually the truth always comes out that they do, or there's something nefarious behind it. If they are truly donating to something, it is because there is some sort of motive. Sam Bankman-Fried, that is kind of proven in my mind. Mr. Gates, also proven involved in almost anything that's changing the world, and in my opinion, not in a good way. But with this guy, he's bought 5,000 people a house and rents out a grocery store and has people go in. When it comes down to it, MrBeast is about views. He's said it a million times himself. Now, as if he is a bad guy, I don't know how bad of a guy MrBeast is, but I do know it's been crazy watching this kind of these things that have been said by him. He said he was invited to a private island with scary people with weapons, and that it was so private, so secretive that he would never say who it was. And this was around the same time all the EpiPen stuff was going down. And now you see two of the guys who used to work for MrBeast are both separated. They now no longer work for him. One of them actually posts Bible verses on TikTok. And a lot of people are saying that maybe he saw some messed up stuff to the point where he wanted to kind of repent. And that's why he is the way he is now. Well, almost everybody that's been attached that's left has had something negative to say. Another gentleman that worked for him put out a video essentially saying, when the stuff comes out about this, not only this, but there's other stuff, he even suggested, he goes, hey, Amazon, get your money back quick because you're going to need to when all of this comes down. He said that MrBeast will be done. That's not what I'm saying. This is what somebody who used to be on the show for a matter of months said, that once it all comes to light, that he's going to be done. Is this a cancellation thing, or is this a general thing where there's going to be scandal after scandal that's going to come out? Now, if you've seen the text from this, it's a big deal. It's really disturbing. I'll let you guys read those for yourself, but he's basically offering to spoil a 13-year-old boy, and it's disturbing to say the least. Dex, go ahead.
Well, and the interesting thing that I worry about or think about. It's not really a worry. I could care less. This is his best friend. Like, for the longest time, they've been together forever. They started the channel almost together, I believe. He's always been there until he was a she. And MrBeast, even stuck beside them through all the controversy of the change that person went through. And didn't allow that to hamper anything. Now, Ava Chris Tyson, as the name is now, has actually posted that they're 100% stepping away. They're walking away from everything related to MrBeast, obviously because of these allegations. And again, they're just allegations. Nothing's proven yet. But you have to wonder, just like you said, as somebody leaves, does something else come out? And this person certainly knows everything because they've been there from the beginning, and they've been probably one of the closest people to Jimmy Donaldson, which I think is MrBeast's real name.
Now, and I don't know what has been confirmed out of those text messages. You'll have to go to X to go see it for yourself. We've linked this, and then it ends up linking some of the other stuff. But as far as it goes, some of the other claims is that essentially that this person was around for so long. This is an ex-employee of this person, of Beast, said that they ended up only doing that and sticking behind them because of what they knew and that they've been around for so long. What kind of secrets do you think might come out about them, if there is any to begin with? I don't say cancel somebody without proof. So as far as I know, MrBeast could be the philanthropic guy that he says he is. Maybe he's a young guy and he's learned. I more think that he learned that if he gave every single dollar away very early on, that meant instant success for a lot of these creators. The creators that would give $500 to a homeless person and then show a note, it always seemed kind of corny to me. It's like you're doing something good, but you have to get it on video, and you're basically just doing it so other people see it. It's not like actually volunteering and going off and doing it and then not telling anybody about it. That I feel better about doing than doing it on camera for some sort of reason. As somebody who does volunteer and does things and Christmases and winter times and hands out stuff, that's not something that I've ever felt like that should be put on video. But again, is that wrong? Should people do that so it gives an examples to others to do that? That is the one argument that I could see, is if you do it on video and do it, then other people are inspired to do it as well. I don't think it had a net negative for him to do these things, because other people started copying and they started giving away money, or they started to do nice things for people. Heck, some people on Twitter, their entire thing is that they just give away money every day, and people love them. But do they love them just because they're a potential paycheck, a potential handout? I don't know. And are those people really good people, or are they just doing it because they have lots of money, whatever else? I think he found out the success for that, and he says he's going to give all of his money away before he dies. I don't see that being true, maybe, but who knows? Maybe he might end up being the good guy, and all of these people around him have got some shady stuff going on. But yeah, he's got a net worth of $700 million, so if he goes down, it's going to be a big deal. Crazy to make $700 million off of the videos they do. They're big budget too. If you've never seen MrBeast, their videos, they buy a grocery store, an entire grocery store, for a video. Well, they're shooting 5 other videos where they're buying jets, where they're buying islands. The guy bought islands to give away. The screwed up part, though, is when people win this thing. So say they sit on an island the longest out of 10 people and they win the island. If it's a $2 million or a $10 million island, they say that most of these people never even get the prize because they have to pay the tax dollars on the prize. So if it's $2 million, they've got to then pay $200,000 out of pocket to receive said prize, or more. Who knows how much. And so what ends up happening, MrBeast said this in one interview, I believe that he said that what ends up happening is they help them, they'll buy it back from them and pay the taxes at a chunk of the cost, and they'll just give them the remainder of the cash. kind of like a lotto thing. Like after the taxes and proceedings, they give them whatever back. But I don't know. It's kind of seems like sort of shammy. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Do you like MrBeast? Do you think what he's doing is overall good? Or do you think that there's something nefarious under the hood? Carlton Sutton, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you again for the super sticker. And then Seeking Truth. I appreciate that. Thank you, and thank you. Salute. And Stephen McMahon, off to work. Love y'all. Stay alert for the next cliffhanging episode. Hey, Stephen McMahon. Salute. Thank you. And then, guys, I'm in Brazil. It's pretty cool here. Jerry Shirts 99. Brazil is beautiful. Just watch out. I worked with a lot of Brazilians. They said that the police do not mess around there. And if you are running from the police, you better get away. Because if you don't, you are screwed. I guess they have a lot of corruption in their police departments. And this is coming from a ton of Brazilians. But maybe that's back in the day, 10, 15, 20 years ago. I don't know how it is now, but sounds like they've had problems, again, covering all the Twitter stuff that's been going on. All right. And let's see here. And then Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle resigns over the T-Man event. So we just covered this over on Marfoogle News. I did have to make some corrections because we also, in that video, covered that. You will notice we took a small chunk out of that, which was inaccurate. That is because in that video, we also talked about the Massey incident. And that Massey incident, just in case you missed the beginning, that is unsolved. The cop was charged with a murder, but has not been found guilty. And obviously, it only happened on the 6th of July. Got that first hearing right away, pled not guilty, and now the world is calling for that person's justice. I have a feeling that guy's going to serve some serious prison time. If you don't know what I'm talking about, a gentleman basically went in to respond to a call of a woman who actually was the caller who was concerned about a prowler, according to what I've read so far. And they responded to that, and it seemed, from what you could see from the video, that he responds and is immediately suspicious of the woman, and it almost seems for no reason. But we only get a small chunk of the video. We don't get any of the external context outside of what I just said. Then she walks over to the kitchen. They're asking for her ID. She goes over to a pot of boiling water, and then he says, whoa, what are you doing? And she basically says, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. And he says, whoa, whatever you're doing with that pot of water, I'm gonna bang you right in the face if you don't effing stop. And then a second later, she holds up the lid, and it looks like she might actually have the pot, but she's like 8 or 9 feet away on the other side of a counter. He ends up, I think both of them, pop, and they got her in the dome and other places. They basically took her out. People are saying, well, she was unarmed.
Only him.
What was that?
It was only him that shot.
I thought they both did, but so if he was the only one.
He's the only one.
So
from what I've read.
Then it was like a clip dump, right? It was a mag dump. It sounded like it. Maybe it was 2 or 3, whatever. One of them hit, and they even talk about it in the video that basically saying, that's in the dome, she's gone, there's nothing we can do. In the video, there's people arguing that the pot never left the stove. You can clearly see that the pot did leave the stove, and you can even see steam on the floor. It got about 2 feet away from her. Even if she was to throw it, could she have gotten hot water even that far, and could he have just responded and jumped back? Could he have, instead of worried about her with the pot, said freeze, move back 10 feet? Probably. Either way, people are calling for justice at this time. It is already being picked up by everybody, and at the time of this, there wasn't even a second body camera video out, and the president has already made a statement on his X account. So since that is gone from the other one, I'll show you the correct information so you have the best and most accurate news there. So let's go to JB, and this is what he posted on it before there's an actual sentencing. So let's see. Let's go to his thing. Was it this one? I think it was this one. Yes. So this is what he posted before even showing up. This was also about an hour before the news broke that he showed himself in public. So after 5 days, nobody's seen him. He says, "Oh, Massey, a beloved mother, friend, daughter, and black woman should be alive today. Sonia's at the hands of a police officer reminds us all too often Americans face fears for their safety in ways many of us, the rest of us, do not. Sonia's family deserves justice. I am heartbroken for her children and her family as they face this unthinkable and senseless loss." So that is kind of coming at it from an angle. That's kind of saying it's senseless, that there was no reason. A second video came out, and it does appear that she is throwing something like she's throwing hot water. Still not justified, though. I think that there was still wrong. I saw that he was already somehow guilty or something. That was incorrect. He is now charged. He pled not guilty, and that means that there is no technical justice for the mobs that yet. So if this goes down, this could be a Summer of Love 2.0. So that is what people are worried about right now, and most people think this is a giant distraction. But again, it is a big deal. It's something that a lot of people actually care about, and once you see the video, if you see the first angle, you are going to be mad. The first thing I said, though, is, yeah, if this is what it looks like, the guy should end up in prison. But is there other context? Is there another video? Is there a full video that can be seen? That's what we should always wait on. People made the jump. I mean, this video just came out, and people have already made the judgment. Is there priors? Is there, is this person wanted for something? Of course, all of this is going to come out, and I'm sure it's going to look like it's all him. He was at 6 agencies in 4 years, so something that's kind of a bad flag there. But is this case being put to the very top of the pile on top of all of the other things that the algorithm is doing to push everybody against each other? Is this something to light the powder keg? Dex, go ahead.
Hey, did they say that the actual person who's being charged didn't have his body cam on? It was only the other one?
I'm sorry, what?
I thought I saw it was reported that the person who's being charged, the police officer who's being charged, didn't have his body cam on.
No, he did.
We had the body cam from the second officer who is the one that we've all seen.
No, so the second one has come out. It has his arms in front of the camera, and he's holding the weapon, and you actually see his angle. So that has now come out. The other one is looking at him as a third person. That's the other police angle, and I don't know why that one came out first. But the other one shows him. He's got tattoos on his arm, and he is on the left of the other officer. So
well, maybe they're using that to foment, because I thought I saw that they were saying that they were saying that was a bad thing on his part, that he didn't have it on.
Maybe that's because when the first one came out. So yes, so this is it right here. So I'm not going to show any of that, but this is the gentleman on the left. That is the one on the right. This is the gentleman who did the deed. And there is some clips. People are going to break it apart. They're going to tear the thing apart. They're going to, of course, show all of the breakdowns. No matter what, even if he was justified in doing it, if she was going to throw scalding, burning water, even if that was justified, he was pretty far away. So this is one of those perfect cases where people are going to be angry. What got me is, like, my mom has said that statement so many times to a lot of things, to nasty people, to ghosts. Anytime there was, like, she thought there were ghosts in the house or something, she literally told me, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." So this, to me, immediately kind of hit me hard. When I first saw the other angle, it seemed like he was being a jerk right off the bat. Like, you're responding to a call, and you don't know if this guy is judgmental. There are people like that. Heck, people judge. It doesn't matter what you are. People judge you for every little thing. That's the taboo nobody wants to talk about. People do judge based on appearances. They immediately judge people. They'll think, oh, that's a great guy, or that's a crappy person. Heck, I had when I was in sales doing face-to-face sales with lots of tourists working and selling art. There was a gentleman who straight up looked homeless, was barefoot, had dirt all over him, had basically half of his clothes on, had dirt, and it looked like a bird's nest in his hair. He walked up, 3 people said, please get away from my shop. Came to my booth, I talked to him like a normal person. I said, hey, how are you doing? 10 minutes later, he ended up buying like a $400 custom art piece. And it turns out he was like he was the bassist player for some band. I'll have to remember what that guy was. But I remember everybody thought he was homeless, and they wouldn't even talk to him. I ended up getting like the only sale out of the whole line of people, and that's because I didn't care if he did buy anything or not. There's tons of folks down there, so I just said, what's up, going on? And because I didn't treat him like that, he treated me like that. But that is the thing. People immediately judge. They look at people on the outside, they immediately make snap judgments. We all do it. And really, it takes practice and a lot of time and effort to try to not do it. So yeah, with this, I don't know what happened with this, but people are going to make a snap judgment, and that's not good for the country, because if this turns into a Summer of Love 2.0, this is the worst time ever. Worst time ever that something like that could happen. So I'm praying for this woman, for this woman's family. I'm also praying for even the police officer and for everybody involved. I hope that this comes to a peaceful thing. Justice is served, that everything comes out like it should. But just keep in mind, we have nasty people at the top that push this kind of stuff, that it is put all over the place. So again, we'll see what happens, and we'll update you. As far as Cheadle stepped down. Well, we covered that a lot over on Marfoogle TV. We talked about her finally stepping down, and it's really quite simple. She totally screwed up, and now she has stepped down. So again, make sure to go check out that video over on Marfoogle News. And Dex, any statements on the Massey incident?
Yeah, it looks like it's one of those, like we've seen before, that can cause great division, and with that may come actions that are not safe, and I don't want to see that happen.
I really don't either. Reminder, go and get yourself protected against EMP, marfooglenews.com/EMP. It's a device that can hands down protect you against not only a CME, a Carrington level event from the sun, but it can also protect you against, of course, an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse, and Carrington level events. So this thing is, again, something that you should have on every vehicle. If it is especially a newer vehicle that's all digitized, once we get hit with an EMP or a Carrington level event, all of them will be fried. For you to be able to get home to your family or get out to bug out, it's a massive deal. This is the same company that is not only helping agencies like DHS, DOD, but they're also on the DEMSA team helping the Texas grid. They are now trying to protect themselves. That should be a big flag that we should all be protecting us as well. They're not going to do it for us, so make sure to go check it out. Do it yourself. It takes 10 minutes to put in your car, and you'll have that you'll have that ease knowing that that is protected. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. $50 off that stacks on top of every device, on top of any sale they are currently running. So check for current prices, marfooglenews.com/EMP. Dex, thank you so much for your service today. I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. Thank you so much. We've got Scooby-Doo Right. Thank you, Kimbria, Poco Loco. Of course, Kimbria. Thank you, and thank you. Skyhouse, Scooby-Doo Right. Thank you for making it to almost every single show. I cannot say thank you enough. And Scooby, thank you for hosting. 10 people, bringing one person in the door. I seriously appreciate it. When you guys over on DLive host, I will try to return the favor when I can. It's always odd because of the Shoutron and stuff, but I do appreciate you guys hosting, and I have not forgot about DLive. I love you guys, and I really do thank you. All right. Today's top supporter, thank you. Looks like we have Jerry Schertz and Stephen McMahon tied. Thank you guys. Love you. Be safe. Be prepared. And Marf out.
One more day on the job, they about to go and rub you dry. They wanna open